completely different approach to a challenge from the enemies, right? You need to look at it as a puzzle or a challenge for you to complete and grant you access to winning the round, because that's ultimately what you're trying to do, is win the round. And you know, if you win enough rounds, you win the game, and it just adds up, right? But the way you're approaching these situations or challenges is completely wrong, at least in my opinion. Like, you can't approach things and expect them to work. Your utility, your drones, your gun, everything is a tool, and those tools will help you, grant you access to planting the diffuser, killing all of the enemies, winning the rounds, and eventually, hopefully, winning the games. So you need to think of it that way, not just going into a situation, oh, there's a mirror here, well, let's just wait and see until someone leaves. Like, that's what I'm thinking, the way that you're thinking, if that makes sense. You need to completely change the way you approach a challenge like this from the enemy. You need to use your tools and your advantages to your advantage to win the rounds. What is going on, guys? 821 Mayo here, and in today's video we are going to be having ourselves another viewer VOD review video. Now, looking at the viewer's VOD submission, I'm noticing some things that happens a lot whenever someone submits a VOD in the form. So I make it mandatory to answer some of these questions just so I can gauge you as a viewer, so I can help you understand some issues that you might have, or help you as the viewer, allow you to get better with things that you struggle with. So this viewer says he wants to get better with decision making and sound when to push. So just a little rule of thumb and kind of thing for you guys if you are eventually going to submit a VOD review, and when it comes to the time of you answering these questions in the form, elaborate. Tell me what you want out of this. Like, really go into depth and give me some detail besides saying decision making, sound when to push. I mean, that's 6 words right there. So yeah, like, you just give me more. But with all of that being said, let's jump into the VOD. Okay, so here, so like, you see what you're doing here? You're not checking the more important things. What you're doing here is you're only focusing on the thing that you need to do, or the thing that you want to do. And the thing that you want to do in this situation is get info on the people's small tower, which are the footprints that you see right in front of you. A lot of players in this game only see their objective. They don't also take into account the situations that could happen. They're only thinking about the situation that they think is going to happen, which is going to result in you dying to something or not expecting something when you should have, just because you're so unbelievably focused on this one thing. So for this example here in specific, if you want to get these footprints and this intel, you need to understand what else is surrounding that piece of information. So you need to be aware of your angles, past and previous info, stuff like that to take into account, besides, you know, I just want to get this and nothing else. I don't want to worry about anything else, because you almost died here. If this vigil hits one bullet to your head, you're dead. And that could have been very easily avoided if you just take into account those other possibilities. Before we carry on the video, I quickly want to mention that I'm doing coaching, so if you guys are interested in that, there's a link to the Patreon down below in the description, where all of your questions can be asked and more. I also want to mention that I have a second channel, so if you guys are wanting more content from me, if you already enjoy my content, there's a link to that down in the description. With all of that being said, let's carry on with the VOD. Yeah, see here, you see what I mean though? Like, that is another great example of what I was just talking about a moment ago, of you saying, or sorry, you doing what you just did, of just walking in a small tower, opening the door, not worrying about anything else. You need to take into account the other possibilities, so that way you can have a deeper understanding of a situation and your piece of map control, whether you're on you're on defense or you're on attack. You just need to understand the gravity of other situations and other things that could happen in your piece of map control, or just to you as a player, right? So stop worrying so much just about what you want to do. Start worrying about much more of what could happen to you, right? I hope that helps. It's important. So for the people who do know about this angle, it's very easy to access, and as you can see, it gives you access to the elbow push-up on, on bunker. It's very important when you do this though, that you drone out this angle here in specific, because if someone is hard holding this angle, you're dead. The Monty did push up, but let's just say someone walked in after the Monty pushed up, right? and the Monty has already crossed the angle. He can't see this anymore, so therefore the person who's playing there, because if you guys don't know, playing elbow, bunker, all of that stuff is very common. It's a very crucial piece of map control for the defenders. But nonetheless, if someone wants to, you know, pre-aim this angle, you're pretty much a free kill. So, you know, take that extra precautionary step, get back on your drone. It's already outside bunker double door. So just check the angle and then, you know, hold it with a weapon instead of, you know, just jumping up there and then, you know, getting right on the angle. Because if someone's holding that, I've killed many people doing this. While the door is open, while there's all 5 attackers are out there, you'll be surprised how often someone will kill you or you kill someone off of this angle. So yeah, overall, I'm not really liking the way that you're kind of approaching situations. I would like to see you be much more cautious. One thing that I do like, though, is when you, the viewer, hit the like button. Hitting the like button is a very important metric to the YouTube algorithm. And also, once you do hit the like button, I'm going to show you a picture of a large tub of mayonnaise, as it is everyone's favorite condiment. I know, no need to tell me. But once you do hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm, I will be showing you a tub of mayonnaise. I have a NASA computer. It can detect when a viewer likes the like button. So as soon as that happens, and I'm done waiting here for you to hit the like button, you'll see the tub of mayonnaise. You gonna hit the like button? You gonna hit the like button? I just checked my waste my time watching you're on it. Why are you not hitting the like button? Anyway, back into the VOD. So let's look at the situation here. Your ace, you have smokes. You use the smokes once your Monty got downed. But you can remove this mirror, you know that, right? By you throwing a Selma on it. There's no electrification. They don't have a mute. The only walls that are electrified are elbow. And that you know that because, you know, you saw them. So what... I'm confused as to why you're not, you know, using your ace Selma charges here. That pretty much removes this person on the mirror. If you throw it, like, you know, on, like, there, it'll, you know, detonate right around there. And then it'll drop down once again, and then it'll detonate like somewhere around there, right? But nonetheless, like this guy will get removed off the mirror, which is ultimately what you're trying to attempt here, right? You're just taking a very lazy approach to it. So again, another thing, you know, another way of looking at this is like the way you look. I'm looking at the other situations. You need to have a completely different approach to a challenge from the enemies, right? You need to look at it as a puzzle or a challenge for you to complete and grant you access to winning the round, because that's ultimately what you're trying to do, is win the round. And, you know, if you win enough rounds, you win the game. And it just adds up, right? But the way you're approaching these situations or challenges is completely wrong, at least in my opinion. Like, you can't approach things and expect them to work. Your utility, your drones, your gun, everything is a tool, and those tools will help you grant you access to planting the diffuser, killing all of the enemies, winning the rounds, and eventually, hopefully, winning the games. So you need to think of it that way, not just going into a situation, oh, there's a mirror here, well, let's just wait and see until someone leaves. Like that's what I'm thinking, the way that you're thinking, if that makes sense. You need to completely change the way you approach a challenge like this from the enemy. You need to use your tools and your advantages to your advantage to win the rounds. Oof, you hear that guy there. Just a little kind of very small thing. You see how you're reloading and swinging at the same time? Always make sure that you're done with whatever task you're trying to complete and then move on to the next one, because, you know, you just put yourself in a bad situation. I talk about it a lot in my private VOD review sessions. By the way, I upload them on my second channel if you guys kind of want to get a little taste of what a private, you know, coaching session or VOD review session would be like. And yes, there is a difference between the two, but nonetheless, they're on my second channel if you guys want to see. But one thing that I always say to my clients, and this happens a lot, this is a very universal thing that happens, is they're never in a ready position. When I mean ready position, I mean making sure that your crosshair is in the right position, making sure that you're not reloading, making sure that you're ADS'd. These little things add up to milliseconds, and those milliseconds could be the difference of you winning or losing a gunfight. At the end of the day, you know, even you having proper crosshair placement, it's a huge thing that is talked about throughout the community of, you know, tip content creators just in general. You know, having proper crosshair placement in any FPS game is automatically putting you at an advantage versus someone who isn't having proper crosshair placement, especially in a video game like Rainbow Six Siege where there's a one bullet headshot mechanic with almost every single gun, I believe, besides shotguns maybe. But, you know, with one bullet, you can kill someone, right? So automatically you want to take that advantage. Like, you don't want to be put at a disadvantage to your own decision. So really make sure that you guys and this viewer here are understanding how important stuff like this is, of, you know, being in a ready position, not reloading, you know, while crossing like you did here just in a moment. Like, you see how when you swing, you have to also ADS? You should have taken that extra quarter of a second, half of a second, understood that you hear someone close, you know exactly where he is, and you know, you're swinging, you don't know exactly where he is, but you hear someone in this general vicinity. But nonetheless, you see how you're swinging into the gunfight? You need to be ADS and then swing, because you're in the reload animation, you finish it, and then you start swinging as you're finishing reloading. And then, you know, then you're ADSing as well. So make sure that you're understanding how important, you know, just making those little tiny mistakes like this of not being ADS, you know, not reloading fully, stuff like that adds up a lot. So let's talk about this audio cue really fast. So the more and more you guys play this game, and this is a very easy thing that you guys can do. It doesn't matter how many hours you have or how much time you have, like, or experience, sorry. Just in general, if you pick up on audio cues, it can help out a lot. So let's go back here. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna shut up, and I'm gonna let you guys listen to what I just heard.
Special charge, stay clear.
Okay, so 2 audio cues here. 1, someone dropping. You can hear that clear as day. 2, you hear someone walking on a plastic surface, and what that surface is, there's textures to the audio in this game, where it gives you very small pieces of information, but I'm trying to teach you guys how to teach yourself, and when you pick up on audio cues like this and stuff, it helps out tremendously. Because what that tells me, just by looking and knowing in that map, or that area of the map, that there's a blue tarp in that's why it's called tarps or pit or swamp. I personally call it swamp, but sometimes it's called tarps. And the reason it's called tarps is because there's a blue tarp there. And that plastic kind of crinkle is what that audio cue is. So if we combine the 2 things that I just said to our advantage and bend that information, because to someone who doesn't think about the game in this way, they'll just hear someone, you know, an audio cue. They don't know what they're hearing. They just know they're hearing something. But if you know what you're hearing, and it doesn't take long to practice this, just go into a custom game with a friend or by yourself and just listen and understand and study these audio cues, and it will lead you to not even needing to drone here. All the way into attic. You can just check your stairs drop and you know exactly where this guy is, at least a proximity of where he is. But nonetheless, if we combine those 2 audio cues together, we know that, okay, he dropped, so that tells me he dropped off of the ledge, and he also walked on the tarp, right? So that tells you that he's somewhere, if I would have to guess, he's somewhere from this line to the right, would be my guess. Because I don't understand why he would want to cross left, but I could be wrong. But nonetheless, you know that he's not in the upper portion of attic where you vault up into the little, you know, corridor there. He's much lower into swamp, pit, or tarps, whatever you want to call it. But, you know, just think about information audio cues like that. You know, someone vaulting over a shield, how fast and, you know, loud, and what an audio cue of barbed wire sounds like, because as a defender, you're not affected by barbed wire in your ability to walk through it. As an attacker, you are, so the audio cues are different, right? When someone's vaulting, when you're hearing glass break, you know, that propagation of the sound, all of that stuff adds up, guys, and it's super important that you guys pick up on it. Also, just another tip, if you're in T3 in Oregon, by the way, this is called T3. The layer below this is called T2, and then the one below that is T1. So from the top down, T3, T2, T1. But just a little tip, I don't know if you can do it with Monty. I'm pretty confident in saying that you can do it with all 1 speeds on attack, or any 1 speed for that matter besides Monty, I'm not sure. But you can sprint off of this ladder cutout onto the beam here, instead of, you know, you might see some people vault over onto the beam, but you can just sprint right off and you'll just land. If you full commit sprint, like straight off, in a straight line, you'll just fall on the beam. Just a little rule of thumb for anyone. So let's talk about this barb placement as well. Whenever it comes to trap operators or barb sometimes as well, you always want to work exterior to interior, because the closest you put that barbed wire or that goo mine, that's more map control the attackers are going to be able to have access to themselves without, you know, them being countered or a piece of info being given to you, right? So you always want to make sure whenever you're putting down barbed wire that you get info out of it before the attacker has the opportunity to kill someone or cut off rotate or something, right? You see what I mean here, though? Like, exactly what I said, like, what the attackers have the ability to do, they have the, you know, they had the option here. Someone jumped in your white window, walked all the way up white stairs with nobody knowing until, you know, she's walking through the barb there that you placed. And the Mozzie luckily kills her, but let's just say this Mozzie isn't there, or he dies, or whatever it is. Like, now that attacker has top white stairs control, literally cutting the map in half by holding one angle. And now, you know, whatever happens, happens. I'm not going to say that something will happen, because I don't know. But it's always important to keep in mind how important it is. You know, changing one piece of utility and its placement is a huge deal.
Mag change.
Op 4 located a bomb. Protect it.
That's rough. Again here, let's talk about the audio cues though, again. So if we go back here, you're pushing up the stairs. You don't really need to push up the stairs here. It's still a 5v5. You have a set of barb here. You just need to position yourself properly around a pillar. Because someone can, you know, hold the railing staircase here. And, you know, hold like peek their little head over and hold an angle down the stairs. But nonetheless, like, you don't necessarily need to push up here.
Mag change.
But if we listen to what we're hearing, so right there you heard a barricade break once and then twice, and on the second hit you heard glass break. So let's assess and evaluate the area of the map where glass is on a window. So you have the T1 door to your left here, right? You have the T1 door to your right over there. The closest window that has a pane of glass on it is the green hallway that's on your level. Now, if we eliminate the green window, we know it's not the green window because of how loud the glass was and the audio cue that you're hearing currently. So that would immediately tell you that the only place that they could be where they're breaking that window and that piece of glass is above you, T2, right? Because not only you hear the glass, so that immediately eliminates a normal door barricade being broken or anything else in that area. And also, you hear how loud it is. So the louder, the closer. I mean, that's pretty obvious. So it tells you exactly where this tower player is. And, you know, he eventually jumps in. You hear him. You see him once you start running down there. But you didn't react off of it. And then, you know, you kill him there, as well as Zofia. And then you eventually get shot in the back. But nonetheless, you wouldn't be put in a situation if you were playing Pillar to the point where, you know, you had the ability to leave whenever you wanted. Because now you're stuck T1. They're taking bunker control very fast. You kill 2 there, and then you try to run back downstairs. But, you know, you didn't even have the opportunity to run back downstairs because you got shot in the back. But nonetheless, you know, you didn't have to be put in this situation if you understood that you didn't need to go for a kill there. You didn't need to push. You got very kill hungry. You got bloodthirsty. So understand the situation that you're in. You were in a 5v5, and then, you know, some of your teammates died. You got 2 picks, but then ultimately you got refragged, now putting the last player on your team, the Maestro, in a 1v3. See, again here, you're trying to push for no reason. I mean, you know, it is a 1v4, but the amount of times I've seen a 1v4 go to a 1v0 and the enemy win the round, it's happened too many times for me to count and remember. I'll say that much. Yeah, like, you need to understand how valuable you are. Do you want to be one of the first people to die in a 1v4, or do you want to be one of the last people to die? Because if you're playing site safe, then you know, okay, I didn't mess up as bad as my teammates did, and that's not a very good thing to say or to look at it that way, but nonetheless, you playing that way will still decrease the chances of you dying sooner, just by you playing more passive and understanding, okay guys, if we just play time, he can't win. Like, we have 4 people, we get 2 crossfires on 2 choke points, and we adjust to wherever he goes. Like, that's all you have to do in this situation. And I understand that you might be solo queue and whatever it is, but still, you have the ability to play passive. And you decided to just push into the room, ultimately losing your gunfight. And, you know, you dying here could result in a whole list of other things. That's a huge mistake there. The enemies are not punishing for the mistakes that you're making. You don't need to walk into this guy, right? Another situation where you're getting very kill hungry. Like you see how you're walking towards this guy, you're frag chasing for no reason. It's a 4v2. You don't need a pick at all. Like you guys are straight chilling. And another thing about where you're playing as well is that the position here. One thing that I always try to get across to you guys is understanding how important and advantageous holding one single angle is sometimes. And this is that situation. Do you see what you're doing here? You need to understand how important this single angle that you're holding is. If you die, now your teammates have to worry about two different lanes. But if your teammates don't peek and you hold this angle here and stay alive, you are literally cutting the map in half. So this way, if the attackers want to cross from trophy door, they have to cross your angle. If they want to cross breach, they have to cross your angle. Either way, if they want to go for plant or some sort of site pressure and walk into the bomb site, you will see both of them whenever they want to do that, right? Holding an angle like this, it doesn't matter in this specific situation. It could be Clubhouse, it could be Oregon, or sorry, Cafe, it could be any map. If you're holding an angle like this where you know exactly where the last two are, and you're cutting the map in half by holding an angle, understand how important that is, because even you dying there will still give your teammates info if they know how to use it to their advantage, because in order for you to die, they have to cross if you play this angle properly. One thing that you're not doing here, and this is something that, you know, you can use to your advantage, is you're not Zo stunning. So right now you're in a 1v2. If you Zo stun one of them, or even both of them, then, you know, they don't have any audio. You can jump in the window and probably catch one of them off by surprise. Now it's a 1v1, you know, or, you know, whatever it is, but you can take away audio from one and then vault in and take that 1v1, right? Because you have a minute 20 left. You also have a drone in person, so you could drone, get info, burn the ADS that's close in the window that I hear, and then, you know, take a gunfight wherever you think you want to take it, or bait out that 1v1, because whenever you're in a clutch situation, one thing that you should really try to do and understand when you are clutching is to bait out those 1v1s where, you know, you can make the man count closer to even or back to even. Someone white stairs and the other one's kids. You know exactly where both are at. You hear the barbed wire on white stairs, so that immediately tells you exactly where he's going to be. Because barbed wire wouldn't be in any of those spots, really. This one's going to be kids or big window. Oh, yeah, he's kids. Yeah, you know exactly where this guy's at. You know, you don't need to face check. That's what you're doing there. It's called face checking. And that's a really bad habit that a lot of players seem to have in this game. They want to use their face to get info and not a Zo stun or a drone. You have 3 different intel devices. You have 2 Zo stuns and a drone on your person. I don't know if you have your second drone alive or not, but you have 45 seconds left. So take that time, take that, you know, man advantage that you just granted back to even, and understand, okay, I have 45 seconds left. Let's take a breather. Let's switch to my Zo stuns. Let's throw a drone. Let's do something besides just throw away all the hard work that you just put in this clutch and, you know, lose the last and final kill in the 1v1, right? Because that's one of the worst feelings in this game, is going from a 1v4 to a 1v1 and then you're not being able to finish that last guy off, right? He's probably going to be very nervous as well, because it just went from a 1v4 to a 1v1. So you also have to understand how nervous the enemy is, because I'm sure that you're probably feeling a little bit of nerves, and it's a very common question I get a lot is, you know, how do I stay calm? How do I stay collected in clutch situations or high stress situations? And you also have to think about how stressed and, you know, how much pressure the enemy is feeling as well, because that's a thing. It's not always about you. So you can use the stress of the enemy and what they're feeling to your advantage as well. So if you add more pressure onto the pressure that this bandit is already feeling, that is going to increase the margin of error for him, right? Because he already has his base level of stress that is now heightened to his base level, because, you know, it went from a 1v4 again to a 1v1 in the situation that you're in now. So he's already stressing out, because, like, he's like, okay, I got a clutch now. Like, it's a 1v1. In around 25 seconds, 35 seconds, it went from a 1v4 to a 1v1. So just imagine how much pressure he's feeling as well. And then if you tax on even more pressure and more things that he has to worry about, example, a Zo stun, then just imagine how much more stress he's going to be. Do you see where I'm getting with this? It's not always about, you clutching the situation. It's also about the enemy making their mistakes to make your clutch easier. I hope that helps, and I hope that makes sense. I don't know if you just picked up on that audio cue of the weapon, but that was a Jackal secondary, or a Maru. So, yeah, someone just opened your E-Box hatch right next to you. And they are currently in meeting. I believe it's a Jackal, if I'm not mistaken. Could be in a Maru, though. Oh, it is a Jackal. Okay, so yeah, you don't open the hatch. You're doing a good job, though, of playing this area. This is a very difficult position to play, especially when you don't have a shield that makes it a little bit more difficult. But you're definitely owning this piece of map control, and what I mean by owning is making sure that the attackers never feel the opportunity to take that piece of map control away from you. And just a moment ago, I was talking about this map control and how important it is as a defender, and how important it is as an attacker, and how that helps the attacking side and their advantage, right? So you're doing a really good job of playing your angles, owning this piece of map control, and never allowing the attackers to feel the opportunity to take it away from you. Would like to see you much more aware of your meeting hatch, though. You're also over peeking now, which is very sucky. Yeah. Oof. Yeah, you're dead. You're a dead man walking, that's for sure. Yo! I could never navigate that. That just reminded me of the Pengu clip of him on Bank in the 1v1 on Vigil against the Blitz. Oh my god. Props on you for being able to navigate that. That is some map knowledge, or that is complete coincidence, but oh my god. That was really nice. Holy smokes. Good pick. Someone pillar, someone probably E-Box. Be my guess. My prediction. Pillar E-Box. I believe it's a Jackal. No, what is Freezer? No, it's a Hibana Ying. Okay. So once Freezer is going to be coming to your left, and there he is. So yeah, the reason I know this guy's Freezer is because you hear the Hibanas shoot. Like, you hear the X-Kairos pellets shoot. You hear how muffled that is. Did you hear how muffled that was? And you hear them detonating right behind him. So the audio cues of them detonating is very loud and detectable. So to tell you that it's directly behind you. And then, you know, that tells you, okay, she's somewhere in Freezer. And then you also hear her rotate right around there. You hear her very clear and loud as day. So it automatically tells you that she's, you know, in your Z in your lobby somewhere. But nonetheless, you know, you're just to kind of wrap it up here, you're playing way too aggressive. You're playing way far too aggressive. Even on that Ash bottom laundry stairs that you just killed a moment ago, if that Ash kills you, now it's a 2v3. And if you lose this round in this game, you as a team, you're going to have a very significant portion of mistake to own up to, so to speak, because of how aggressive you were playing. Like, you can play very passive, not expose yourself to the angles, and just play off of the Malusi, the Banshee in laundry, right? Because that's a piece of info at the end of the day. Even you going prone that close and having absolutely no cover, yeah, it might be an unpredictable location for you to play, and the Ash might not expect it, but we all whiff at the end of the day, right? What if that Ash quick peeks you? What if she knife baits you and you shoot, and she knows exactly where you're at now? You're prone with no cover. That is a SOL situation, to say the least. But other than that, you got to learn how to pump the brakes. That's one thing that separates a good player from a great player, is understanding the situation that they're being presented with. And you didn't understand the situations that you were being presented with when you were playing. And I saw that quite a bit. You know, a 3v3, this example here, this round, you're in a 3v3, the Ash kills you, now it's a 2v3, now your teammates have to get a pick or, you know, play off of each other. And, you know, that man advantage, losing the equal man advantage could really mess with your team and potentially lose you the round, which would lose you the game. So you got to learn how to pump the brakes. You know, the utility placement and the Barbed placement definitely needs some work, just utility overall. It's very important that you need to understand, just everyone that's watching this video, and even myself sometimes. Try to be as utility efficient as you can be at all times. Very important thing and rule of thumb to follow and apply to yourself whenever, whatever operator you're playing. Because at the end of the day, the primary reason why you're bringing an operator in the first place is for their utility. That's what Siege is all about, is that utility usage and how unique each operator is from each other. But other than that, I mean, you know, keep doing what you're doing. Be confident in yourself. Also, actually, I will mention, you know, that ready position, that state of readiness with your pre-aim, with your crosshair placement, and not reloading and just stuff like that. You know, being ready to take a gunfight versus, you know, being half ready or quarter ready. Always make sure that you're at 100%. You don't need to reload. You don't need to ADS. You don't need to adjust your crosshair placement, especially on console, because the adjustments are going to be much harder to make. So if you start aiming for the head, you know, just having really solid crosshair placement, it will probably like win you a lot of gunfights. But all in all, keep those things in mind that I said, and also keep in mind to like the video if you guys did like the video or enjoyed or learn anything from it. I would really appreciate it. Also helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Also, 50% of you guys aren't subscribed, so if you guys have not hit that sub button already, I would really appreciate it. And to mention the last few things before I go, I am doing coaching, so if you guys are wanting a much more in-depth VOD review session like this one here, that is an hour long instead of, you know, however long this one's going to be up on my channel, or you want a coaching session, there is a difference between the two. There's a link to the Patreon down below in the description, as well as a link to my second channel, so make sure you guys go check that out, as well as a link to the Wichita Wolves, which I am a content creator for, so make sure you guys go show them some love. But with all of that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new, and I will see you guys in the next video.